Hello, this is Father Louis Skirdy with Ivan Arocho from St. Paul's Outreach. Welcome,
Thank you.
Ivan.
Thank you, Father.
This is the third segment with Ivan, and one is more exciting than the other. And he is involved with a ministry that's very close to my heart. My whole ministry, 30 years, 31 years, was in campus ministry. Prior to that, I was involved with high school ministry at DePaul High School in Wayne, New Jersey. So my whole ministry has been working with young adults. And it tears my heart apart when I go to a church and there are hardly any young adults there. It makes me crazy. And I can't, I'm not the pastor of churches. I just go to them and attend and try to do anything I can to engender the faith of these young adults. And that's exactly what you guys are doing at St. Paul's Outreach.
Yeah.
Tell me what St. Paul's really focuses on doing.
Really focuses on reaching out to students, having them know that there's someone there that is interested in their life, that's invested in their life, that wants to know how they're really doing.
Even if they're involved with drugs or sex or this or that.
All those things.
Because you gotta,
Right, because
you
Christ
gotta
was
be
interested.
real. Yeah.
Christ was interested in those things.
I-
And in sinners, and reaching out to everyone, to the Pharisees, the Sadducees, but also the sinners. And so
Yeah, and the saints too. Sometimes they need it more than the sinners do. I used to go on campus and say, "Hey, when they're saying, oh, Father Lou, you don't want me down. If I go, and your church is going to fall down." I said, "Listen, I say mass every day. The church hasn't fallen down on me yet.
yeah,
It's not going to
we're
fall
all,
down on
yeah,
you."
we're all sinners.
So that's great.
And so
And I don't mean to
Sure.
keep cutting you off, but again, you're in my territory. So often, and you may have this experience too. So often, I found myself tested by new kids mainly. Um, up until November, I would wear the collar on campus. After that, they knew me enough, so I didn't wear the collar. But then, I'd sit down in the cafeteria and maybe have lunch with a few kids. Maybe another one would, just ease on over, which is great. It's like I didn't notice them sitting there, and we talk about anything. Not talk about church only. Invite them for Bible study, and then I would hear a little challenge, and this is a test. And they'd say, "Oh yeah, well I can't come to church because I have a date and my girlfriend's staying over." So I was supposed to pass out with that.
Mhm.
I said, "Oh, that's nice, good. Just be careful and be positive." Of course, I can't say I'm speaking for the Universal Church because maybe I should have passed out, but I didn't. Or else, Father, please, you don't want me in church because I might come when I'm high. Okay, go down, and I'll bring you back up and be high with mass. I said, always a test. Those kids who were testing, always throwing out little digs, would be the ones in the front row. They would come back because my philosophy is welcome them. I mean, welcome them.
Yeah, and so you can't in evangelization, it's very hard to take someone who's unchurched, who's not formed, and just like drag them to mass. So
Ain't gonna
the
happen.
first thing is to create that relationship with
Yes,
them, and to know
yes.
that they're loved, that they're cared for, and eventually invite them to a dynamic retreat where they can kind of go deeper with their faith, and then invite them. It's all about invitation and creating relationship, and that's the church has always talked about. The saints have always talked about that. That's how Ignatius, evangelized Francis Xavier, and how
Yeah.
evangelized and started his group. Same thing with St. Francis. So that's always been, that invitation and that model of, reaching out and living it boldly. I think the best example, the fathers of the church talk about, you can't be a Christian if you haven't seen one. And so our missionaries really embody that. So
Yeah.
the way they live their life is attractive. They're healthy, young people, radically living the gospel. And so that in itself is a witness and is attractive.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that. I think Gandhi said, "I would become a Christian if I met one."
Yeah.
How sad, right?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. And so I think that that has really called a lot of students to kind of question the way they're living. Is there another way to live? And that's created questions in them, obviously challenges, but also questions. And I think, if I think about some stories. So, for example, there was a story of a young man that I can recall that it was his first couple weeks at the university, at Seton Hall University, and he was invited to his first party, and he knew that there would be drinking, and he was kind of afraid, but kind of enthralled by that, and his parents weren't around, and that's where he was going, and he encountered one of our missionaries
Whoa,
who
at the
invited
party.
him. No, actually at the door, headed to the party, and the missionary invited him to, why don't you have dinner with us? and he kind of developed a relationship with the missionaries and kind of found himself saying, what would have happened if I would have gone there and not met, and is really living his faith radically, and is going to join our household program this year, and it's just, it's a wonderful example.
So positive. The years, I mean, my approach is a little different, a little shaded there. Um, I didn't invite kids necessarily to dinner. Of course, we used to have dinners at the Campus Ministry Center, but I remember before we had the building that we built a chapel and a Campus Ministry Center and so on. We had a little house, so nothing happened in the little house. Everything had to happen on campus. Thursday night was pub night. Guess where I was on Thursday nights? And not like 7 o'clock. You had to go at 10:30, 11 o'clock, okay? So I'd make sure, wash up, alert. And that's where I would meet some students. And, Father's coming. Okay, good. And I'd hang out. And
Sure.
and you're a priest, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And,
Yeah, and you can enjoy that in a responsible way,
It's
but also
great.
sharing your faith in those environments too. And it's
Yeah.
wonderful, and it makes people feel like, yeah, I'm embraced and I'm understood.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's important. So St. Paul's has a core that goes to a campus?
That goes to a campus and serves either as leaders of household, in our case in New Jersey, actually living in the residence hall, working with students and leading small groups of students who are in formation. They will actually meet weekly with them and, do Bible study,
Great.
or do kind of, let's talk about your life. How's it going? How's
Great.
that relate to scripture? Read a book together, spiritual reading together, and talk about, life in general and the gospel and how to
Bring the two together. And it's not in competition with
No.
established campus ministry.
Actually, we do great events in tandem with Focus and in tandem with other campus ministers at Seton Hall. For example, one of our events is Pack the Chapel, so it's like a flash mob.
Oh, wow.
So everyone's, a text goes out, let's all go to the chapel, and pray together.
I
And so,
love it.
and so we do events like that on campus.
Technology
and
is important. So
technology is
social
important. So
media.
I think, we have a wonderful relationship with our campus ministry department and with particularly our vice president of mission and ministries, really about bringing these ministries together and announcing the gospel. So we're really
Excellent.
grateful.
My biggest fear when I first got involved with campus ministry, and it stayed a secondary fear, and it's important to reach out to them too, but attracting, I hate to say it, the geeks. And I don't mean computer geeks. I mean, those days, the geeks, the lonely hearts who had sometimes personality disorders that would just shun other people and wouldn't. So part of my ministry in the beginning was to meet those people, the lonely hearts, and build them up and have lunch with them and introduce other students to them. So campus ministry wouldn't be identified with the weirdos,
Right.
Now we're weirdos, Christian weirdos. That's all right. I go with that. But, it's important to raise the dignity of all the students.
Of everyone.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
we do things like some of our outreach or our reach programming. We have a great sponsor in Barbasol. So Barbasol is really also
Tell
about
me
creating.
what Barbasol is.
Barbasol is the line of products for shaving.
Okay.
And so, but
I use
they're all about creating environments that are alcohol, drug free.
Excellent.
And so what we do is we partner with them and have men's nights and women's nights. So we invite. Our goal is to invite, women. They have the Pure Sick line, and we do a spa night for women on campus. And so it invites women to an event where they can socialize and not, be around alcohol or
That's
drugs. And for
fantastic.
men, we have men's night, card nights, and that gives the missionaries an opportunity just to, be with students and just
That's
meet with
great.
them. And so,
Locally, one of the parishes, I said Mass there not long ago, and one of the ministers works there, called me up. They said, young adults want to invite you to, they call it Theology on Tap. And I said, well, two things. One is Theology on Tap is a specific copyrighted terminology. I'm not involved with them. So, but we had our version of that on campus. We called it Catholic Chats. Great. Can we use that name? Yes. So I'll be going there speaking with young adults
Yeah.
on evangelization,
sure.
but identity, their identity in the world. These are postgraduates, so that
Right.
and it's so important that what you're doing feeds that identity. So when they're out and they graduated, they can bring other friends
Yeah.
to church, but not only the church, to ministry.
To ministry and community. And so that's one of the great things too. It spreads that enthusiasm for their faith. And like I discovered new things about myself, and I discovered, and that calls other people in. And so there are ripple effects definitely
Yes,
from vibrant
absolutely.
campus ministry.
Hey, started with 12, right?
Right,
In
exactly.
all the-
That's right.
How does the diocese get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with us through our website, or our website has our contact information, or they can reach out to me directly. I can be reached at, can I give a number?
Yes, please.
862
Go ahead.
240 6717. Again, that's 862 240 6717. I'd be happy to connect them with our mission center director and share with them a little bit of what we're doing. And our website has a lot of information.
And give the website again.
So our website is www.spoweb.org, and that's St. Paul's Outreach, spoweb.org.
And we'll have all that information on our site
Thank you.
when you appear as our guest.
Thank you.
I can't tell you how thrilled I am that you exist, and there's hope for
Thank you.
hope for the evangelization and the certain Christian outreach on campuses
Sure.
throughout the country.
Sure.
And I hope our bishops avail themselves of your evangelization.
They
and
are.
your
They're great partners of ours.
enthusiasm. Well, we got to get a few more on tap.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you
I
very much,
appreciate
Ivan.
that.
God bless
Thank
you.
you.
This has been Father Louis Skirty with Ivan Rocho speaking about St. Paul's outreach to young adults on campus. I'd like to hear from you, Father Louis Skirty at hotmail.com. God bless you.